In the status quo, the world is currently not allowing this following motion, but we disagree with the rule because there's no third-party harm, which I will explain more in my first argument. And by changing this rule, I think that it can bring benefits to the person who is working in the company or what. And moving on to our policy, which is that we will allow to not go to we will allow to not go we will allow for everybody working in there to not go or to stay to go if they want, uh, and we will only allow that if the person wanting to go or not wanting to go have a clear reason why they want to do. And our goal is to give more freedom, and our first argument is that no clear third party harm, and secondly, freedom. Now, moving on to our first argument, uh, no clear third party harm, and I have a few reasons why I chose this title. And our first reason is that it doesn't affect anyone else because, for example, if a person has a baby that is born, then they have to go to anywhere or any place with that baby. But if that person don't want to go and wants to stay there, then they can stay there. But if they stay there, then it doesn't affect anybody else. And secondly, it is their freedom of choice of doing it and going there or not going there. As we have said in our policy, we will only do this if people are in a rational state. And lastly, we think that we have to it doesn't have a clear third party harm because even though we say that there might be a little third party harm, and yes.
The side government believe that these workers should give up long-term happiness for short-term gain.
But this doesn't really matters with this motion isn't that related to happiness what you just said, and I'll move on to what I have been doing. And it doesn't have a clear third party harm because it doesn't have that great harm by staying there or not staying there. And let's move on to my second argument, freedom of choice. They chose to do it, and by doing that, they needed to do it. For example, if we say that a poor people is working on that company or a society, and that there's the only place where the poor can earn more money, then the poor will need more money, so they have to earn money. But if we say how, the several responses because how do we do it? We will only do it by uh, making pores to get earn more money by for the poor to choose if they want to stay or to go anywhere else. And I'm very proud to propose. Thank you.
Imagine a world where your dad never comes home for the holidays, where your mom is always too tired to spend the time with you because she traded her time off for a little more money. No family vacations, no days at the park, no special moments together. Instead, they're working day after day, exhausted just to get by. Is that the kind of life we want for ourselves, for our loved ones? Bang! This captures the very essence of our debate, and so we strongly oppose this motion. I'm the first speaker, and I do a few things in my speech today. 1. Start with the debate. 2. Give your burdens. 3. Arguments and close. Definition of some key terms. What are labor rights and why are they important? Labor rights are rules that protect workers, ensuring that their fairly paid, work in safe conditions, and treated equally. These rights prevent employers from exploiting workers, help maintain a balance of power, and make sure workers can take care of themselves and their families. Without labor rights, workers could face unfair treatment and unsafe environments in exchange for additional pay. This means that workers would receive extra money in return for giving up certain labor rights. We live in a world that never seems to slow down. Constant deadlines, bills to pay, and the pressure to always do more. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, like we are running on a treadmill that never stops, but without time to pause, breathe, and recharge. The weight of the stress can become unbearable. Our burden here is to prove that accepting this will lead to more harm to the society as a whole. To prove this, we have the following three arguments: health and well-being risks, benefits to the organization, long-term happiness of the workers and families. I'll take your POI.
Uh, you have just said that there will be too much pressure because these people will always want these money, but our policy was that we'll only do this if these people in a rational state.
Yeah, I can't understand you.
Move on.
Can you repeat your POI? I couldn't understand you.
You have just said that there will be pressure on these people that they want to do more, but we believe that our policy was we will only allow this when these people are in a rational state.
You all guys were also talking about freedom of choice, and it's just and they will want to come back if they want to, and we are saying that they should because they can have mental health issues, and they're not saying it because they just want money. Thank you. Hopefully, I've answered up here. I'll jump straight with the first argument: health and well-being risks. Labor rights like maximum working hours, minimum wage, and safety rules protect workers' physical and mental health. Waiving these rights can lead to overwork, exhaustion, unsafe conditions, and stress. While extra pay may seem appealing at first, the long term health risks often outweigh the short term financial gains. Imagine you love video games, but you play them for 12 hours straight every day. You'd get really tired and not enjoy it. Your brain needs some rest. Similarly, workers need limits on how long they work. For example, a delivery driver working 15 hours a day might become too tired to drive safely, which would lead to accidents. Holidays aren't just day offs, they are essential for our health and happiness. It's time we think that we truly value in life. Without protections, workers might also face unfair treatment like bullying or harassment. If workers can't complain or report such issues, they might feel helpless and trapped, which can lead to desperation. In short, giving up labor rights, workers are likely to experience high stress, burnout, anxiety, depression, and damage to their personal lives, all of which can severely affect their mental health. To conclude, I would like to say regular breaks like holidays aren't just luxury, they're a lifeline. Without them, life becomes a blur of endless work, and we lose sight of the moments that truly matter: the laughter, the peace, the joy of simply living. My second speaker will explain the last two arguments. Thank you.
Before moving on to my arguments, we will move on to our rebuttal. The the opposition's teams said that that there will be pressure to the worker, and if we say that we are going to pay the worker, and they will have mental issue, depression, and anxiety. We disagree because in our policy we said that we are going to do this if the worker is in a rational. Workers were rational, and even if we did point of informations to that, they didn't have clear responses to that. Also, we are going to do this if they want no, they do not want they want money instead of like free time or not working off days, and we think that
UI.
yes.
Do you really think that the workers will actually tell you that they are in a rational situation? How do you know that they are in a rational situation?
Because if they were in a rational situation, they will think of they will think that they will have the harms if they don't rest and work. And if they are in a rational situation, they will think that if they do not rest and work, they will have mental issues and depression and anxiety, like you said. Moving on, to our team's third argument. They are limiting their rights for money, and what is the problem for that? The workers are limiting their rights for money. What is the problem? Our team think that there is actually no problem to this, because actually rights are expensive than money, and however they need money, so they are returning their rights for money. For example, if a worker is in a really poor situation, they might need money, and they are returning their rights like off days or rests to money, because they are in a really bad situation of poorness. We also think that workers are choosing to do this, and there is no clear third party harm, like the Prime Minister mentioned. So for this, we are very proud to.
Good afternoon, House at Large. I'm Renaya Lakhani, and I'll start my speech by rebutting side government's Prime Minister. Team proposition says that allowing individuals to waive their labor rights in exchange for additional pay is a choice that they should be allowed to make. However, we feel that such a system could open doors for exploitation, as workers may feel pressured or coerced to waiving into their rights to secure employment and earn higher wages. The practice could further enhance existing qualities, as it would likely disproportionately affect vulnerable workers who have limited bargaining power. We are trying to create a world where everyone is secure and taken care of. The proposition is proposing a world where allowing workers to waive their rights can lead to insecurity, lower pay, and worse working conditions. We aim to create a world where workers have better lives than employees, as seen as caring for their employees and well-being in society. Moving on, for my first argument, I'll talk about how not allowing workers to waive their labor rights can ultimately benefit the organization in multiple ways. Dear panel, the most manufacturing organizations in today's world are getting disrupted by modern technology and software. Companies are struggling to retain their best employees due to multiple factors, such as wage inequality, long hours, and harsh working conditions. Labor workers, in their own pursuit of earning more, are burning out and quickly quitting jobs. Productivity is failing and hurting the companies. In such a world, one of the biggest losses are faced by the companies themselves. For example, look at the labor union strikes that are happening in manufacturing plants, crippling the company's production processes. Several capitalist countries and companies have witnessed ill effects of workers not taking any time off and working too hard, leading to low productivity. However, if companies and governments start mandating that labor workers cannot waive their days off or parental leave, the worker would have a balanced life. They would be more happy, more productive, and settled in their jobs. This would have a huge productivity gains for the organization, ultimately, as the labor force will produce output at a great rate. If my opposition is worried about further adding human productivity, that can also be addressed by having modern bot technologies fill in during the off hours. The impact of this with the country's sustainable profit growth in the economy overall and the development of the country. For my second argument, I'll talk about how labor workers can compromise on their long-term happiness and growth by trading on gaining some short-term advantages with more pay. In today's world, labor workers routinely trade off their happiness and family time in order to get a little more extra income. By working all those hours, they miss out on critical family moments such as the birth of a child or the marriage of a close cousin. The impact of this is that the labor force becomes disgruntled and is a social disharmony growing rapidly. This is important to keep in mind, as because we cannot We cannot create a labor force that's only working all the time and not prioritizing their own personal time and family time. Their social bonds. What kind of society would this be? An army of workaholic robots that doesn't do anything outside work? That's not the world we want to live in. That's not the world anyone would want to live in. In our world, with appropriate leaves taken, the new parents will be able to spend more time with their newborn children to give them a nurturing childhood. Newly married people will be able to spend more time with each other to get to know each other well. People will be able to take care of their aging parents to ensure they have a comfortable old age period. This is the society we imagine. In conclusion, I'd like to reiterate that there is a genuine reason why leaves are allocated for workers. Using them for their intended purposes would ensure better productivity for the company and an overall happy workforce. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've prepared 2 clashes for this debate, and before I move on to my 2 clashes, I'll state my rebuttals. They have said that in our world there will always be working robots that don't have any social skills, and we believe that this isn't a world what everyone would like, but we believe that this world would not happen because of our policy, which is we'll only give these rights if these workers are at a rational state, and we believe that we'll keep testing these workers if they are in a rational state, and we believe that if by this policy we believe that we can break down all of their constructives. And moving on to our first clash, which is this motion justified? We think it is justified because there's no clear third party harm, as our first speaker has already stated. We believe that if these workers are actually choosing to waive their work or labor rights, we believe that it is actually justified because first they actually choose to do it, and we believe that there's no clear party harm. And before I move on, yes.
This side government believe that by getting higher paid workers, it will get them more happiness and mental health.
You have just stated that in your world there will be more happiness, but we believe that in our world these people can actually choose, and these people can actually have the freedom. And we believe that this is much more of a happy life, because even if they might not have a strong social life, we believe that this world will be better because these people can get more happiness. And moving on to our second clash, which is the benefits and harms of this debate, we believe that there's no clear third party harm, and we believe that the harms in our world that opposition has stated are not can be broken down with our policy, which is even only when these people are rational. And we believe that the benefits of this debate are the freedom of choice. Limitations will be gone, because the freedom of these workers will not be limited, and we believe that these people can actually earn more money if they want to, and we believe that if these people only want to, and we're not forcing these people, that is why we take the both clashes in this debate. Thank you.
Imagine if aeroplane pilots in the pursuit of higher salary were allowed to waive their labor rights and fly beyond permissible limit. Safety standards would be compromised, fatigue would be ignored, and not only their lives, but the lives of passengers would be risks. This is a slippery slope panel of putting short-term financial gain above essential protections. Life hangs in the balance when labor rights are treated as negotiable. Good evening, panel. I, Rutva Kasi, would like to present 3 things in my debate today. 1. Rebuttal. 2. Summary of arguments. And 3. Conclude by saying why we win. My worthy opponents keep talking about rational state. We don't think there is any way to assess rational state to give freedom of choice only to rational people. Now moving on to my rebuttal. Proposition talks about people giving up their rights for money under the guise of freedom of choice. Understand, who would use this right? It is the poor people who may be desperate to get money. You cannot expect rational thinking when someone is desperate and in the need of money. We believe that autonomy in waiving labor rights is a false freedom, as economic pressures force workers into harmful decisions. In industries with weaker protections, such as garment factories, workers often choose poor conditions not from real freedom but from financial desperation. This leads to widespread exploitation, with workers giving up their rights for short-term gain at the cost of long-term harm. Labor rights are societal safeguards, and their erosion results in systematic abuse and not just individual hardship. While the proposition claims autonomy, it ignores coercion caused by economic pressure. Our side ensures true freedom by maintaining protections, preventing exploitation, and securing long-term well-being. We also hear proposition use of argument of not causing third-party harm. We don't believe this can form the basis of any decision making. Moving on to the clashes. 1. Freedom of choice versus protection from exploitation. Proposition talks about workers should have freedom to choose whether to waive their labor rights in exchange for money. In our world, in the reality, many workers won't have genuine freedom of choice due to financial desperation. Allowing this will lead to exploitation, as employers will pressure vulnerable workers to give up their protections. Why our world is better? Workers remain protected from unsafe conditions and exploitation, ensuring dignity and safety for everyone. Therefore, we win on this clash. Short-term financial gain versus long-term workplace safety. Proposition: waiving labor rights provides workers with immediate financial benefits. In our world, short-term gains are outweighed by long-term harm, including unsafe working environments and weakened labor protections. Financial gain is temporary, but loss of safety and job security can have lasting impacts. Why our world is better? Workers retain both their rights and long-term safety, preventing dangerous working conditions that could harm their health and well-being. Therefore, we win on this clash. In conclusion, let's compare the worst case scenario in our vision with their best case scenario and still prove why we win this debate. In the worst case scenario, under our side, workers continue to be protected by labor rights that ensure their safety and dignity. Now compare that with their best case scenario, where workers are offered more money in exchange for rights but are left vulnerable to exploitation and unsafe conditions. Is a marginal financial gain worth the potential loss of lives and security? Therefore, clearly our side offers better protection for society and individuals. Thank you.
We had to go through two wars to literally have human rights. We had to go through sacrifices to have rights. And now, the most aggressive stance. We can buy our own rights. What happened to the world when there weren't human rights? You and I will never know, because we have not lived in a world like that. Imagine a world without human rights. You and I wouldn't know what that's like. Companies hire HR departments to ensure the employee well-being. There are scientific and practical reasons why many companies offer paternity and maternity leave as well as paid vacation. Paternity and maternity allow them to recover, bond with their children, and prioritize with their health. Paid vacations allow employees to support their families, care for sick or elderly relatives, or attend appointed life events. Companies want to increase job satisfaction and morale. Happy and satisfied employees are less likely to leave their jobs. CITROP says that allowing workers to waive their labor in exchange for additional pay is a way to improve their financial futures, but we think allowing workers to waive their labor rights could undermine the collective bargaining process. Allowing people to waive their rights, even if they choose to, can lead to serious consequences. It's like opening a door to more problems. This could create a dangerous precedent that could lead to widespread exploitation and undermine the progress made in labor rights over the years. In the propositions world, if workers are allowed to waive their rights, they become more vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. Employers may take advantage of this to pay low wages, demand excessive hours, or create unsafe working conditions. But ours will look like. We want to create a more equitable world where employers and employees are both happy. There you go, judges. I've given you every reason why our side.
Judge, we had the burden to prove that this motion has benefits more than harms. And I'm pretty sure we did that. Judge, which is better? The government's world that poor people having more money and we are respecting each other's freedom. And the opposition's world where there is no freedom being respected and poor people will be poor because we don't respect our freedom. We choose the government side because it has more benefits than harms. Judge, we think that if we don't we support this motion because this motion is helping poor people have more money by not having off days or resting time and exchanging them for more money. We think that, as our team kept mentioning, we think that it is very important that workers are choosing to not rest, have no off days, and choosing money. As he kept mentioning, this is very important because we are not forcing them to do it, so it doesn't make mental issues, depression and anxiety happening. And as a short rebuttal, they kept mentioning that we are forcing them and they will have issues with mental and physical issues, being tired or having depression, anxiety. We are not forcing them, they are choosing them and they are rational, and we think that this is a very, very big difference between the government side and the opposition side. So for these reasons, we think that we proved the burden and we think that we won this debate. Very proud of us.